Hello, friends, and welcome back to r/ProRevenge. In our first story, the new executive decided to go against our OP. Well, that was a bad idea. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. Unreasonably void contract and then gets fired. My sister owns a pharmacy that takes care of multiple nursing homes all around the city. The company that owns the nursing homes signed a contract with her to provide medications to the residents, and this also includes emergent deliveries after hours. Think morphine and antibiotics. She has a great working relationship with all the homes and nurses. They sometimes call her in the middle of the night and she has to open the pharmacy and deliver the meds. The nurses are really appreciative and praise her effort at monthly meetings with all the managers. A year later, they hire a new executive to oversee the operations of the homes. Let's call him DB. At the next meeting, he springs it onto my sister that he's voiding her contract with the company due to the size of her pharmacy, discarding the fact that she has a robot and enough staff to handle all their needs and more. He starts making excuses that her deliveries were late and they were getting complaints from families. The nurses said this was all untrue and stuck up for my sister, but as he was upper management, they were ignored. She finds out from the nurses that since his hiring, he's been trying to cut costs by reducing the amount of nurses on duty and patient care was affected. There were rumors of him bullying staff and they started dropping like flies too. In the end, her contract was voided and was handed to another pharmacy. Interestingly, she knows that they're a smaller store and didn't have the same capacity as her. She didn't want to take the matter to court as it would have cost her a lot of money and she didn't think it was worth the effort. However, a bright side is that one of the connections that she formed worked for another nursing home company. John, fake name, gave her all their nursing homes, knowing that she has a robot and could handle the demands of working with a big group. Here's where the story gets interesting. 2 years later, during one of the meetings, she runs into DB in the hallway. Expecting him to be in the meeting, she politely greets him. He recognizes her and was just as much of a jerk as she remembered. Surprisingly, he wasn't in the meeting. She gets to talking to the boss, and he tells her that DB was hired recently. She tells him about her previous interactions with him. John was quite shocked and asked her why she didn't let him know earlier so DB wouldn't have been hired. John tells her that what DB did was a massive breach in contract and that she should have sued for a lot of money and that the company would have been liable for damages. He didn't want someone that was going to take bad risks working for him, so he immediately put DB on probation, and DB was fired a month later. My sister hasn't been more happy than when she found out he was gone, because even on probation, he was trying to cut corners by hiring underqualified staff and hinting at changing pharmacies to a cheaper one. Sounds like DB switched pharmacies to get a kickback. And our second story. Lady insists we buy a cell phone so that I don't waste her time when she calls the store 5 times per hour. I work for a small co-op grocery store in a college town. We have a pretty good mix of college students who just come to get smoothies and sandwiches from our deli, along with locals who do their weekly grocery shopping with us. 99% of them are wonderful people, and I know most of the regulars by name and catch up when I see them. However, there's one customer who's so universally despised by the entire staff that I'm the only one willing to serve her. Willing meaning that I'm the lowest on the totem pole, being the newest cashier, and I get asked to do it by senior staff. This woman will call the store 5 times or more in a row and insist with each call that I find a specific product, read to her the list of ingredients on the product, tell her the exact price, number of varieties, and every other little detail you can imagine. She doesn't ask for it all at one time, though. She insists that I run back and forth all over the store instead of just asking me everything she wants to know in one go. And to top it off, then she'll send her husband to buy the actual product, call our phone, and demand that he be put on the line, and I have to balance this with the customers I already have in the store. Yesterday, I saw her name come up on our caller ID. I cursed both the day I was born and that phones were invented when I picked up. This time she asked if we sold a soft white bread. I told her that our fresh bread supplier didn't usually send us the type, and she demanded that I tell her if we could special order 1 loaf just for her. I told her I didn't know if this company, an artisan bread type deal, even made white bread, but if she would look into their offerings, that we might be able to make that happen for her. She then asked me to check the freezer, where we keep our other breads for sale. I came back to the phone and read off the brands we offer that I felt fit the bill. Then, of course, I get 2 customers up to the register. I'm the only cashier, so I did what my manager advised me to tell her in this exact situation. I have another customer to serve right now. I'll have to call you back. But before I could even get this little nugget of info out of my mouth, she says this. You know, I really think you guys should invest in a cell phone so I don't have to spend as much time on hold. I kind of laughed, all the while silently apologizing to my customer, who was patiently waiting with his groceries. I laughed because I legitimately thought she was joking. Y'all, she was not joking. Her. You know, it would save me so much time if you guys would just invest in a cell phone. That way I could just call you whenever I needed you. That way I could just let you run all over the store and you could let me know what you have. Me, flabbergasted. Ma'am, that's a suggestion for management. I don't have any control over the phone situation. Her. Well, let me speak with a manager then. Is one in? Me now completely floored. Nope, manager just left. I told her the truth and apologized profusely in charades to the guy that I had just started to ring out. All the while she kept me on the line. This answer must have pissed her off, however, because we ended the call seconds later. She didn't call me back again 5 minutes later or send her husband in. Lady, rest assured, every member of our staff would sooner rip the phones out of the walls than get you a personal little co-op phone for you to bug me on like I'm your maid. This is a customer that's costing the store more money than she brings in. She needs to be banned. And our last story. Never mess with an agrarian technician. Back when I was in high school, I had to deal with this complete jerk. Jerk McJerkface. By the time we graduated, he'd been held back 2 years and eventually dropped out. Whatever. No longer my problem. Dumb mother effer. Fast forward a few years and I'm an agrarian technician. Basically, my job is to evaluate environmental impact on crops, then do something about any problems I find. It's a pretty sweet gig. I have an office, all the things. Hell, I even got a potted ficus in there. I get a call from a new client, Dude McJerkface. Turns out he's Jerk McJerkface's dad. He wants me to do some counseling for their farm and order some materials to fix the issues it's having. Okay, no problem. But I need to go visit to see what exactly is going on and get a list of materials I'll need to order and such. Dude McJerkface says no way. He doesn't want me to see the property, just order the stuff. Sketchy AF. We go back and forth on it for a while, and Dude gets progressively more angry and starts screaming and yelling profanities at me, generally being a nuisance. At some point, he even managed to damage my car. I make arrangements with the only other technician in the area, who also happens to be my friend and mentor. He agrees to make sure Dude has no choice but to go through me so he can't bully anyone else into letting him fly this sketchy behavior under the radar. We keep going back and forth, and finally Dude agrees to let me see the property, and I see what the problem is. The house on his land is completely illegal. It's set up to look like an unfinished machinery deposit on the outside in order to dodge property taxes, and on top of that, his crops are completely foobarred with just all the bugs and are actively dying. Then I see old Jerk McJerkface screaming and yelling at some poor guy for God knows why. I hate that mother effer to my marrow, but decide to remain professional and just do the job and ignore him. I order 20 tons of manure for the crops, plus some fertilizer and various pesticides. I inform Dude that he's going to need to pay someone with the right license, and he reveals what a gaping butt he is a little early. He tells me he'll sign for payment after all the materials are delivered, basically trying to screw me out of payment entirely, and he wants me to sign that I'd never been to the property, presumably so that if the material payment were challenged, they'd have a paper trail that said OP had never been on the property to order materials in the first place, further jerking him. Now, if you're trying to F me, I will F you. I put in the order differently from usual, which would require Dude to pay me, the deliverer, and the vendor first instead of the usual trust system. Delivery day comes, and the McJerkfaces aren't home. It's obvious that they expect to dodge the vendors and force me and my company to cover the materials, then enjoy use of them while I fight through legality and suing them for the costs? Not on my watch. I tell the big dump truck to dump 20 tons of fertilizer in front of the machinery deposit in 6-foot-tall piles inches from the door. Then we wait. 2 hours after the scheduled delivery, the McJerkfaces show up, thinking we'd have dumped the materials and left by now. When they see what's going on, crap hits the fan. Dude screams at me. Jerk, being the big dumb mother effer he is, vandalizes the truck by popping one of the tires with a knife, prompting my truck driver to hit him. Dude and Jerk threaten to call the police, and my driver actually calls. In the end, police show up and cuff Jerk for being a dumb butt with a knife, and the longer they stay, the worse and worse things they notice. Jerk's arrested for assault and ultimately lost his hunting license, which is a huge blow here. Dude was arrested for fraud, illegal use of dangerous materials, inappropriate storage of potential explosives, and the tax evasion with the machine deposit. The house was demolished and the crops on the property ultimately failed and died without the prescribed materials. The McJerkfaces were successfully sued for damage to our property and for the cost of my consultation and the materials, plus another $1,000 for the attempted fraud. Feels good. New life goal added. Have potted ficus in office. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.